Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of SEC State of Mind presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Taylor Davis, joined as always by Jason Campbell on this lovely Christmas week. Surprise, everybody, because I said at the end of last week's episode we wouldn't be doing one, but we're committed to the cause, J-Cam and TD over here. So we've got one more episode for you before the holiday. We won't be doing an episode next week. That one is confirmed with New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Your girls got a bowl game next week, which I'm super excited for. And then obviously all the playoff games will be happening on New Year's Day. So today we've got a jam-packed episode. We'll give you a brief recap of what happened in round one of the CFP and get you prepped and ready for what's to come in the quarterfinals. So we welcome you in, everybody. J-Cam, it is Christmas week, and I'm going to do some Christmas questions for you. All right. It is Christmas week, everybody. Before we get into the playoff rounds, I've got some Christmas questions for my guy, J-Cam, to get you in the holiday spirit before we send you off to celebrate with your own. Favorite Christmas movie, Jason Campbell?
Oh, Home Alone.
Home Alone, really?
Yeah.
The first one?
Yeah, the first one, Home Alone.
Okay.
Yeah,
Easy.
Go to. That's when I watched. I'm 90-some years old.
Wow. I love it. I love it.
I was similar age as the kid at the time, right? So
did you dream about like that being a real situation? I could eat all the snacks. No, you didn't want it. Okay. We like the parents being around. Got it.
I would have got, probably tore up for it, messed up the house and
for sure.
Flooding the house and
yes.
Yeah, repercussions would have been too big.
Okay, fair enough. Must have Christmas dessert.
Well, I had chocolate cake Saturday, even though it's not Christmas yet, but it was a preliminary tryout. Yeah, it was a tryout. So a lot of people be proud of me. It was a nice size chocolate cake, but I only ate a small slice of it. And I saved the rest. I saved the rest for, family members. And
wow.
But I don't know. I pecan pie for me.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a really good one. We're a cheesecake family over here, so we always have cheesecake, but I like both of those. Those are good. Do you this one's probably different for you because you're a parent, but opening presents Christmas Eve or Christmas morning?
We usually do one gift on Christmas Eve. The rest is Christmas morning.
Okay.
But now that I'm a parent, we just make it all Christmas morning.
Yes.
Can't
steal Santa's thunder. You got to do Christmas morning.
Yeah, Christmas morning.
White lights or colored lights?
I got to do white lights. It just looks more elegant. Color lights are fun, but I got to do bright lights.
I'm a white light family here too, so I'm with you. And finally, leave the decorations up through New Year or they're coming down on the 26th?
Oh, no, they always come down on like the 5th of January.
Yes, Three Kings Day or whatever on the 6th.
31st of December, I have time to be taking out a tree.
Right.
But you put all that effort into it, it got to last me until the new year.
I'm with you.
But I got one for you, though.
Okay, hit me.
Eggnog or chocolate, hot chocolate with marshmallow?
Definitely hot chocolate. I am not an eggnog gal.
Gotcha. Me either.
I think it's weird texture. It's like so thick.
Sliced glazed ham with pineapple, brown sugar, or baked chicken, or fried chicken, or pot roast as your main meat.
I am typically a chicken and probably baked chicken with some nice like rosemary or basil, like good seasoning on a good baked chicken. But ham, I won't have any other time of the year. So if there's ham in front of me on Christmas, I'm eating it too. But we're all over the board because my mom's side is from Louisiana. So we typically have gumbo around Christmas. So like Christmas is kind of different every year. But
gotta have it.
I love it. I love it. Well, we hope that all of our listeners have a very Merry Christmas and get to eat all the things and enjoy all the lights. And of course, remember the reason for the season, the birth of our Lord and Savior. So super special time. And we wish all of you Very happy holidays. But we got to talk some football because we have had an exciting 50% exciting, 50% bleh, first round of college football playoffs. So let's talk about it, obviously, with an emphasis on the SEC games. The results, everyone knows them. Alabama moves on, defeating Oklahoma in Norman 34-24. Miami defeating Texas A&M at Kyle Field. These were the first two road teams to win in the home playoff games in the history of the playoffs. Pretty cool. But Miami defeats A&M 10-3, and Tulane and JMU get beat very convincingly. Ole Miss winning 41-10, just a couple points off from the first round, 45-10. And Oregon getting the 51-34 win over JMU. And I want to start with that, Jay, because you tweeted pretty quickly after that your thought process around how the group of five should be handled. And I wanted to kind of open that conversation up because I do think if it wasn't already, these two games just reiterated that this is going to have to be adjusted moving forward. What are your thoughts on the group of five bids?
Well, based on the rules and how they have everything operated right now, do they deserve to be in? Yes, they deserve to be in based on the rules that they presented us, right? Mm-hmm. Now, in reality, should they be in? And the answer is no, because at the end of the day, if you're going to take the 12 best teams and you're going to take it off the eye test, then you would know that they're not two of the 12 best teams, right? Now, they're two of the best teams in their conferences as far as like the group of five. Like, yes, they're two of the best teams. I would like to have seen JMU and Tulane play each other. If you want to get one group of five team in the tournament, in the playoffs, then have those two play each other. And then that winner becomes the group of five champion, national champion. And then they go and represent the group of five in the playoff system. Mm-hmm. That would have been fair. Instead, you get two of the three teams, Texas, Vanderbilt, and Notre Dame. Two of those three should have been playing. And you got Power 4 teams sitting at home that plays tough schedules to get them into the playoffs. And they're sitting at home. And as a fan of the sport, we have to watch what we watch the other night. Like,
if anyone stayed watching, because they were that boring.
Right. Like, it wasn't even a game.
No.
Announcers kept trying to make it sound like a game, and kept trying to reiterate things to make it feel like it's a fair competition, but they knew it was an unfair competition. Right. And they knew those two teams did not deserve to be on the same field as those two big opponents. Yeah. And so if they're going to do this thing right, if you're going to go to 16 teams because you got to revamp it, I don't think you would have had to if you just went off the 12-team eye test, right? Mm-hmm. But now if you're going to incorporate the group of five, then have them two play each other and then take one and go to 16 teams and everything. But we can't keep revamping this thing every year. At some point, we got to get to a point and say, hey, this is it, and this is how it's going to be for the next 10, 15 years. Right. Instead of keep changing every year.
I completely agree. It can't continue to be a trial and error method, because then we're not establishing any sort of consistency here on what we're looking for and what is required to get to that point. I saw a theory yesterday on social media that I really didn't hate, and it is expanding to 16, which does kind of feel inevitable, especially after this year. Let's go a step further, though. I do think 5 conference champions is no longer necessary. I think you drop that to 4 automatic conference champions, the top 4 ranked, because they set 5 expecting that it's always going to be the Power 4. This year did away with that theory. It is not guaranteed to be the Power 4, especially considering those Power 4 conferences are likely going to beat up on each other, with the distribution of talent being what it is because of NIL and transfer portal. So you take that element away, you may have just like the ACC situation again. And so I don't think that 5 conference champions is necessary, because you are going to increase the likelihood that we get to group of 5, which happened this year, and I don't think it was warranted. So I think you drop that to 4 conference champions instead of insisting on 5. But expanding to 16, your top 8 are automatically in the bracket, but then you have 4 play-in games to finalize the bracket. So then you would have had JMU and Tulane getting an opportunity to play, but you're playing Notre Dame and I believe Texas. And then Miami would have had to play BYU. and
Mhm.
Alabama would have had to play Vanderbilt. Like, give me those all day to get into the bracket. And then you've still got your top 8 teams that, as we sit here today, are the ones really vying for a national championship. But their first round is then going to be a Vanderbilt or an Alabama, more than likely a Texas, not a JMU, a BYU. So these teams that really, Notre Dame, that
Mhm.
look like championship caliber teams, but we're not telling Tulane and JMU, okay, you can't play with us because you're not at the big kid table yet. And of course, everyone wants to point to the lawsuit that they are apparently trying to avoid with the group of 5. So I think that allows for all of the boxes to be checked. We expand to 16. We have increased matchups. We don't totally do away with group of 5 because that is a very controversial topic right now, but we still end up with the big name brands after an entire body of work facing the best of the best to end up with a national championship. I think that something like that is what they're going to have to consider.
Well, the thing is, too, in young sports nowadays, right? We all get upset if there's participation trophies, right? So
That's
you
all
don't
this
want
is.
you don't want participation trophies because then it gives you a way out without having to say I got to do all the work to actually achieve something. I can just
Yeah,
do partial and I still get rewarded the same as the person that bust their tail to get to what they got.
right.
I just also think that in the playoff format, if you want to make it really playoffs and make it fun, how is it that Oregon and Ole Miss got a chance to get a home playoff game, but the 4 teams that sat at home, they got the bye, didn't get the opportunity to host a playoff game at home?
Right.
So shouldn't you get a chance to host a playoff game in the second round at home if you had an opportunity to sit at home and you earned the bye? I want to be fun. I want somebody to come to my territory and have to play us in our territory at least for one game. Like,
Right.
that fair? A&M was at home. Like, Oregon was at home. Ole Miss was at home. Uh,
Yes, I hear you. My only question is, would that not be double advantage for the top 4? Like, I understand them getting a perk in the first round, but we're going to give them a perk in the second round too. You're just increasing the odds that the top 4 are going to be your semifinals.
that's the reason you get into the top 4 when the last rankings come out. You're
Yeah.
fighting to get to the top 4. Like, so it's no different in NFL. If you win the AFC, you come out as a top seed in the AFC or a top seed in the NFC, you're at home throughout the playoffs.
Right.
You earn that right. You have to have the best record of the 17 games. So,
Yeah.
you got to have the best record. You got to finish in top 4. If I finish think about it, the teams that won last week or hosted a playoff game at home, right?
Yeah.
Say they won. I know all 4 didn't win, but say all
Yeah.
4 won. But
That's what it was last year.
the teams that sat at home that got the bye,
Right.
they don't get the chance to have the fun of their fans hosting a home playoff game in round 2
Yes.
before you go to the bowl matchups. So I was just saying, I think that's real playoffs because that gives me the right to say I've earned the right to host a playoff game at home. The teams this past week got the fun. Their fans got
I
a chance to
know.
have a home game. We don't. We got to go to the bowl game.
Right.
We got to play our opponent on a neutral site instead of a home game.
That's true. And you're always big on a bye week is not guaranteed an advantage. You always reiterate that sometimes a week off is actually detrimental because it gets you out of your rhythm. The health factor is super beneficial at the end of a grueling season, especially for these teams like Georgia, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas Tech that played a conference championship game. I mean, I had Joey McGuire. I had Texas Tech their final week of the regular season. And Joey McGuire told us he wanted the first round bye. Like, that was more important to him because if they had lost to BYU in the Big 12 championship, the possibility that they fell out of the top 4 and into the top 8 was a real possibility. And so he was adamant, we need a bye week more than we need a game in Lubbock, which sucks that you have to pick one or the other, to your point, if you're one of the top 4 teams in the nation. But I think we automatically assume that a first round bye is the bigger advantage, but we're going to see next week if that is actually the case, or if a team like Ole Miss getting a game like that at home, generating some momentum, and Georgia sitting there twiddling their thumbs a little bit is actually going to change the narrative. So I like the point that you bring up, and I think that all of these are going to continue to be evaluated because this year again reiterated that we don't have the best system in place to find a champion.
Yeah, I'm talking about if you're Indiana, you want to play Alabama in Indiana. You want to go
Right.
play in the Rose Bowl. So
Right.
both of y'all got to travel all the way to California, and you got to play each other at a neutral site. So who has the advantage? So it's definitely not
Yeah.
the higher seed, right?
Right.
So it's equal.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter if
It's
Alabama
interesting.
Alabama had to go win on the road last week, yes, but at this point, they didn't have to be the number one seed to get the advantage because we're going to end up in a neutral site in the first place.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. I fully expect the decision makers will continue to implement some change following this year's postseason. But let's talk about some of these first round results. Like I mentioned, Ole Miss, Alabama, and Georgia,
Yeah.
obviously, are going to play next week. I was like, who am I missing? Let's talk about the first round, though, specifically Texas A&M falling 10-3 to Miami, Alabama winning in Norman 34-24. Ole Miss looked great. We'll get into that, I guess, with the preview with Georgia. But were you more surprised? Let's start with A&M. Were you more surprised that they lost at all, or that they were only able to generate 3 points at home?
Yeah, I'm more surprised they only able to generate 3 points
I was
because
shocked.
yeah, I saw the wind before the game. Just how they was showing all how the
On
wind was
game day.
blowing and it was affecting the kicking game and everything. So as a quarterback, immensely, you have to think like, okay, I have to control some of my throws. And especially if you're trying to throw the deep ball, a lot of it, depending on if you're throwing with the wind or against the wind, dictates how you try to deliver it, right? So
Right.
you have to be efficient from 15 yards under because the wind doesn't affect it as much if you're 15 yards under. And I feel like A&M lost the game because they couldn't run the ball.
I
You
know.
know, and then Le'Veon Moss got hurt, and that just really crippled them from being able to run the ball. Marcel Reed was most of their runs was him dropping back and then scrambling, picking up yards.
Yeah.
But A&M, I was shocked, not shocked that they lost because I think Miami is a credible team. I think they have a defense and everything to go and win in people's territory. But I was shocked the fact that they was only able to generate 3 points. And,
Me too.
of course, this game was a defensive slugfest. You knew Bain was going to come to play, and
We
you
did.
knew Keontae Scott had a great game
He
again.
did.
Like he's back in his star position
Yeah.
where he did really well when he was at Auburn was at star position. He struggled when he went to corner,
Yep.
but now he's back in his star position. He's excelling. But Miami, when you think about leadership, when Toney fumbled that ball,
Oh,
and all of a sudden Fletcher goes to the sideline, and Fletcher is just like, "Hey man, pick your head up.
I
Like there's a lot of
know.
game left. We're going to need you to help us win."
Yeah.
And this kid should still be in high school. And all of a
It's
sudden,
crazy.
right, all of a sudden, this kid, he graduated a year early and he's playing big time college football. And the kid does what? He scores a touchdown on a reverse. And he also had the exceptional punt return. So the kid still had a big game and made big plays. But that leadership, though, when you needed your
I
team the
agree.
most, Fletcher stepped up the running back and he picked up his teammate. That's
Yes.
what winning is all about. That's college football. And when you think about Fletcher in the fourth quarter, they didn't run the ball good for the first 3 quarters. They only had like
Mm-mm.
80 some yards rushing. But in the fourth quarter, that offensive line and Fletcher said, "Let's go get it." And
Yeah.
that's exactly what they did. And it went down to the end with them getting the interception to end the ball game.
I know, in the end zone, man, that was brutal, but that was a big part of it. I mean, A&M really had struggles in the red zone all day. I mean, Marcel Reed hit a huge, like 80-yard bomb. They came away with nothing. It just couldn't be sustained. They were able to move it, but it didn't amount to anything. And obviously, the field goal issues were prevalent. I mean, I think there were 4 or 5 missed field goals in the game on both sides. So that was really upsetting for a Texas A&M team that has had such spark on the offensive side. I mean, I still think Casey Concepcion, Mario Craver, incredible talents. Like I think I hope, and I haven't heard anything otherwise, but with Colin Klein leaving, it does make you wonder. I hope Marcel Reed stays. I really think like he still has another level to go. I think he could get so much better. He bulked up a little bit from last season. I think he could still add a little more muscle and weight. So I really hope that he doesn't try and bounce and do anything. Like, be where your feet are, and look, that team still accomplished so much. I mean, lest we not forget, A&M has always been a team that we have talked about going, they have all of this firepower, every resource imaginable, recruiting classes in the top 3 year after year, and they can't even get to an SEC championship, a playoff. Well, they finally got after that hurdle, and Mike Elko is a phenomenal coach. So I still think the Aggies have a heck of a lot to be proud of. The next step is you got to be able to win those big games, because it wasn't just this one. That game against Texas was essentially a playoff game too, and it kept them out of an SEC championship. So there's that next echelon of winning that they have to find.
I'll take it a step further. If you're A&M and you're Marcel Reed, you have to sit in a room and be honest with each other.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Marcel missed a lot of throws in that ball game.
He did.
In the Texas ball game, you have to be accurate with your passes as well.
Yep.
And there's a lot of quarterbacks in the portal and a lot of production quarterbacks in the portal. So you have to be very careful how you maneuver this, because you ask for too much, and they may look elsewhere.
Right.
Because you have to take some of the credibility on yourself and say, look, I could have played better in some games. I could have thrown the ball better in these situations. A lot of reason why we lost the other day, if I had 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't take a buck of the salary cap and then not allow them to continue to build around me.
Totally.
He has to go into this thing with the mindset as well. Like, okay, how do I maneuver this? Because I can't just go in there and demand, because my teammates going to look at me a certain way and say, bro, like, you're one of the reasons why we weren't able to take the next step.
Dang, it's so true. It's very true, because it in one hand, it kind of reminds me of the Nico situation. Like, the guy's good, the guy's got talent, and I think continuing to build on experience, and I'm still of the mind that continuity is so advantageous to teams. And to individual players. I actually think that you could end up hindering yourself if you bounce around too much. So I see that, but I also do agree with you. Like, you've got all of these pieces. You've got ridiculous talent at the line of scrimmage, which is such a big piece of the puzzle these days. Is the quarterback play enough? You're totally changing my perspective on this. You're right. I do think that Marcel Reed has the ability, though, and I think he could get better. But you're right. I don't think that it's a situation that A&M allocates a ton of their budget. If this guy sees the value in staying and continuing to build on the continuity piece of it, then fine. But there are, I mean, it'll be interesting to see where a lot of these quarterbacks land, but I haven't heard anything in regards to what they're going to do there. But their season comes to a close. Miami moves on and will face Ohio State. That will definitely be another, you anticipate, kind of ugly, gritty line of scrimmage kind of game. I mean, Ohio State only put up 10 points in the Big Ten championship, so I don't think it'll be the highest number. But Alabama defeating Oklahoma in Norman 34-24. I mean, I think that they were expecting 50 Cent to be Oklahoma's spark. It somehow backfired, and it literally kicked the Tide into high gear. They were down 17-0, and that's my thing with Alabama and with Georgia. They do not crumble. They do not crumble when they have every reason to crumble. It is a mental game with them, and no deficit, no adversity, no hype environment is guaranteed to get the best of them. And I think you saw that on display in Norman. It was an electric environment, the light show. It was a night game. It was the only game of Friday. They get down by 17 points. 50 Cent comes out to hype the crowd out, and Alabama says, thank you, we'll take that, walk out with a 10-point win. Thoughts on what Alabama showed?
Well, you talked about it. Winning the 4 quarters of mindset.
Yep.
It starts in the off season, and it's built through toughness. It's built through challenges, through workouts, all these different things that you have to conquer and everything. It's doing one more rep to win the 4th quarter instead of just say, well, I did my reps today, I'm good. No, like, you tap in your mind, you say, hey, this is one more rep to beat Bama, one more rep to beat LSU, one more rep to win a championship, one more rep to, whatever it is that you need to
Yeah.
conquer, you have to mentally prepare yourself in the off season for these things. They just don't show up in the season. You say, "Oh, we'll work on it this week and we'll win the fourth quarter." No, you're late.
Right.
That should have started in off season workouts. When I'm looking at these two football teams, you saw Oklahoma come out. They punched Alabama in the mouth, right?
Mhm.
Come out, Mateer's moving around, making throws on the run. Offensive line doing an outstanding job. Defensive front getting after Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
Those guys had him for -3 yards rushing, I think, most of the first half,
Yep.
and everything. So you think about all of that, but then all of a sudden, comes the self-inflicted plays that
Yeah.
hurt your football team. It's not something Alabama did. It's something they took advantage of.
Yeah.
You dropped the punt, you gave them 3 points, right? So that was a gimme 3 points. How the defense did a good job keeping them out of the end zone.
Mhm.
Come back before the half. You throw the pick six. You get caught. You thinking they're gonna run a blitz. All of a sudden they drop out to cover 2 zone. The corner squats. Your guy runs a fade. You're expecting a hitch because you thought it was gonna be blitz 1, and then all of a sudden you throw a pick six. Now the game you look up and it's like, dang, we've outplayed these guys, and it's
Yes.
17-7. Similar to when Oklahoma played in Tuscaloosa earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Alabama outplayed them everywhere but the scoreboard because of turnovers.
Mhm.
So the same thing happened in this ball game. 17-17. Once they got 17-17, I said Oklahoma's done. And I'm gonna tell you,
Wow.
they're done. I could see body language in their players. They were shocked and they're looking like we've dominated this game and they're still tied up with us.
Uh-huh.
Alabama saying we haven't even played to our level of ball
And
in
we're
the
in this.
high ball game at halftime. So you can see that in this ball game. In the second half, what did Alabama do? They got Bernard involved. They got Horton involved.
Yep.
All these guys, and I'm not sure what's going on with Ryan Williams. Like, I'm completely shocked of what has happened this season with him
Same.
and everything. It seemed like even when he tries to catch the ball, it looks hard. It doesn't look as fluent as it used to look to him. And I don't know what's going on between the ears or the
Very
confidence and
interesting.
everything, but there's something there and
Yep.
and everything. But those guys stepped up, even their young freshmen. Trying to think his name right now, had a big game. Another freshman showed up, true freshman, again
Crazy.
in the playoffs. And
Yeah.
so that game to me was won and lost at halftime when it was 17-17.
It's why Alabama ends up in these situations every year, because when the games are big, they somehow find a way to get it done. And not to bury the lead here, but it's why I'm feeling pretty good about them going into round 2, even though they're facing the #1 team in the nation. But we're going to get into our previews here in just a little bit. I did want to, that's an interesting thing you point out. You've got a freshman showing out in Alabama. Meanwhile, Ryan Williams has been essentially non-effective. And I would wonder how much Ryan Williams is getting paid to be at Alabama right now. It's just, it's such a flawed system right now. And that's an interesting point to bring up. And the Malachi Toney one, I loved that reference, because watching that poor boy cry on the sidelines after you realized in that moment how young he is. I was like, oh, he wants his mama. He is so sad and down right now. And this is so new, like, to be on a stage that big. And you know what? I'm going to quote my friend Kelly, who I was watching the game with, and she pointed out in that moment, she was like, these kids are carrying literally the weight of the world. And I know we all have our opinions on that reality, but this guy is probably providing for his family at 18 years old, or at least like preparing to in some capacity. I'm not speaking for the kid, but like there are ramifications that go beyond them that come along with this NIL era right now. And this guy has had an unbelievable season, no doubt. But now you're putting him on the biggest stage that he has ever played in. And you know, in his head, he's going, I have to show out. I have to continue what I've done all season, not just for my team, but for my family. He's 18 years old, like carrying the weight of that at that season of your life. You haven't even been able to process what that all means. So your mess ups, your flaws, which are inevitable, seem magnified because of what all they're carrying right now.
If I had to guess, based off the way he plays, he has a great support system where his family kind of like, hey man, enjoy it. You have fun.
Yes.
And then there's certain situations where I see some parents, they make it too much about the business than making the game fun for their child. Like,
Totally.
you gotta keep the game fun for your child and not the business aspect. Because as
Yeah.
soon as it goes business, you take away the fun aspect of it, and you're not gonna get their best. You're not gonna
Yeah.
get their best because they're focused on all these things that they shouldn't be having to focus on as an 18 to 22-year-old. But NIL is supposed to be a great support system, but it has become, uh, a crutch
Yeah.
to a lot of people, and it's become help to those that know how to manage it well, right?
Right.
It's just like it says, I find out more about you when I give you more,
Yeah.
right? So once you get more, it just shows me more of who you really are.
Totally.
So it doesn't, and that's why I try to tell folks all the time. I said, no, what's in you comes out the more you get.
Heck yeah.
Right? So that's the times that we're living in is, or the parents gonna allow the kids to still have
Be
fun
kids.
and
Yeah.
not make everything a business decision. Because a lot of kids are leaving schools not because they want to, some of them
Yeah.
because they're forced to.
Yep.
And that's not right.
No, I agree with you there. And along with the leadership we saw on the sideline, I also thought it was great coaching. Like you have a chance at the game winning touchdown and you show this kid, I don't care what you just did. We have every bit of confidence in you. You're running this one in. And he does like that. You love to see it, but definitely disappointing that Texas A&M wasn't able to get it done. Tough end of season for Oklahoma as well, as they had a lot of high hopes. But obviously, Ole Miss, the other SEC team, getting a dub this weekend in a packed out Von Hemingway Stadium. I fully expected that place was going to be standing room only. The signs that I saw in the Grove throwing some shade at the former head coach were hilarious. I mean, the creativity knows no bounds to a
But that's what Lane
spiteful.
wants anyway. Lane enjoys
He
that.
loves it. But like
Right.
a spite-filled college football fan base, you'll never get better trash talk. Like it is hilarious to me. But Ole Miss showed out, like I said, 41-10 over Tulane. And it is kind of hard to gauge, Jason, what that really means about Ole Miss because of the level of competition they face in their opponent. No discredit at all to Tulane, specifically Jon Sumrall. I mean, like, I don't know how he did it, the Florida element, but it was also announced that his father passed away 2 days prior to the game. So how he was, and this is a man that has been at the games this season. Sumrall spoke about it in the press conference that his health was really starting to decline back in March and had progressively gotten worse, but he was in attendance at the American Conference Championship. He was also in attendance in Gainesville for Coach Sumrall's introductory press conference at Florida, which is just, I'm sure, something that Coach Sumrall will take with him, that his dad saw him begin that next chapter. And then unfortunately he passed 2 days before the playoff game, which I don't even know how you're compartmentalizing all of that and then still pouring into your team and coaching a game. My hat's off, and absolutely prayers to the Sumrall family as they go through that. But it is hard to really garner what that means for Ole Miss when they did what they did against a Tulane team and at home. But I mean, you got to take what you can, and they looked efficient. They looked very sure of themselves. The game flow didn't seem to skip a beat. We were all wondering, like, hey, there's some shift here without Lane Kiffin there, but business as usual is what it looked like. And Trinidad Chambliss looks, I mean, he even left with an injury for a period of time. So did Quan Lacey, and they both came back. I feel good about Georgia, and we're going to get into our previews here, but I wouldn't want to play Ole Miss right now.
Oh, Taylor drinks the Kool-Aid. I guess you can't say Kool-Aid because that's a long time ago. Back in the day, that's way back in the day.
I knew Kool-Aid, the big guy.
I got zero sugar drinks,
picture.
all that type of stuff. Let's just say you drinking drinks with a lot of added sugar right now.
I am. Turn them up.
So, Ole Miss did what they were supposed to do. Right? They beat this team early in the year pretty good. They came back and they did it again, right? You still got the same defensive guy calling the defense. You still got, Charlie Wise Jr., who was very important in play calling as well with Lane, still there running the offense. So continuity, boom, they didn't take a drop there, right?
Yep.
And they're playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because of Lane Kiffin's not there.
Of course.
This is a different animal, though, to coming up in the Sugar Bowl.
For sure.
Like, we're talking about a team that the last time we seen them play, that was the team everybody said you didn't want to see play. Yep. Because, you didn't want to play because the way they run the ball, the way Gunnar Stockton was playing, the way the defense was kind of getting after it. They shut down Bama's run game in a championship game, created negative yards rushing. That is super hard to do. And they did that. So Chambliss, the first time, he did a great job in Athens and took the game down to the wire. But I'm just telling you, you give Kirby 2 weeks to prepare. And reason I say 2 weeks, they knew they was going to beat Tulane.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't you can't sit here and tell me $1 million that, oh yeah, we was preparing to see who we was going to have to prepare for.
Of course not.
Come on now, wisdom and knowledge take you somewhere. So
Totally.
I'm sure they sat there and preparing for Ole Miss for 2 weeks.
Sure.
How to stop this offense or slow them down, and how to attack this defense. So I think it's going to be a great game in Sugar Bowl. The crowd is going to be phenomenal. New Orleans is right next to Mississippi. So it's a short drive for Ole Miss fans, but a longer for Georgia. But the dogs are going to get those, and the dogs.
All right. We're not at picks yet, J. Cam, but I do think that what Ole Miss showed answered a lot of questions that people were going to have, specifically just about the dynamic in Oxford, the dynamic with Pete Golding at the helm. Do these guys rally around him the same way? Does the team become team-led, or player-led, like the coaches love to say? That's the only way that this thing is going to work, is if the players are genuinely focused inward. And I really, even against Tulane, I saw that. I saw that in sideline demeanor. I saw that in interviews and press that they did. I think that the psyche of this whole thing has not impacted their focus. And that's a fine line to figure out with 18 to 22-year-old kids right now. So very impressed with that piece of it. And it sets us up for a super exciting second round of the college football playoff. But I got to start with one of the biggest news stories in the landscape of sports, not just football and not SEC adjacent. I apologize. Phillip Rivers has emerged from his comfy retirement in Fairhope, Alabama, to return to the game after 5 years away from it. Over 1,800 days without playing a game of football. He is 44 years old. He is a father of 10. He is a grandfather to 1, in case you did not hear that the 85 times they said it during the broadcast the past couple of weeks. But it did get me thinking, what would it take if a team called you and said, listen, J. Cam, we need you. Put the pads back on, put the helmet back on, come back to the game, my guy. Could you even imagine suiting up and going to play a game in your 40s?
I wouldn't have dad bod. Yeah, so I would probably look like I belong on the football field. At least for that one.
You would.
So when they called Phillip, I was laughing a little bit just because I was like, the crazy thing is he may actually go out there and do good.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a system that he's been running ever since he got into the pros. It's the same system. And when he was with the Chargers and when he finished with the Colts. So I was just like, you can come off the couch and know the system. Like, that don't ever leave your brain, right? That's ingrained.
True.
Just can you get the ball to where your brain is telling you to throw it to? And obviously he's been throwing some passes because most of the time he's gotten the ball to where his brain is telling him to throw it to. So I've been impressed, right? But if I had 10 kids and a grandchild and my insurance was about to run out in the NFL, sign me up. You know, right? Because yes, I'm gonna get it starts over again. So now that's 5 more years of NFL paying for my insurance.
That's true.
Insurance and everything. So, and I get to add to my 401k for another year.
You're right.
You know, it's just a lot of positives. Now, the danger is you get hit the wrong way, and you hadn't been hit in a while, and there's no preseason, and you coming out here in the middle of playoff where guys are trying to hunt for the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're coming. And they're coming. But the dude knows when to say uncle too. Like, he threw the pick last night and the 49er guy intercepted it.
Yeah.
Running back, Phillip took 3 steps and said, that's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you have it.
Yeah, I'll let you have it. Not finna go pull a hamstring, try to chase after you for 10, 12 yards. Oh, but I've been impressed. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. Phillip is a great quarterback in his time.
Yeah.
But also very smart. And like I said, when you're in a system for so long, you know the system.
Yep.
You just got to wonder, can I still get it there and do it?
That's the kicker. Like your mind is one thing, your body is another. And it's so cool to watch him. And I think they had microphones very close to the line of scrimmage because you could hear him audibly commanding so much pre-snap. And they'd zoom in on his eyes and you see him how he's like totally reading defenders and would operate accordingly. And they talked about how he has been coaching but he also trains in the off season. His backup, Riley Leonard, Bo Nix, some of these guys that have, off season homes down around the Fairhope area work with this guy a lot. So I think mentally he is just as sharp as any, arguably sharper because he has seen so much ball. But you're right. Like your physical capability is a different dynamic, but also your recovery time. I mean, Jay, somebody sacks you now versus when you were 28 playing in the league. That feels a little different. You're feeling that the next 12 business days, I would imagine.
Well, I'm sure he's in a hybrid chamber. I'm sure he's in,
True.
He's getting every hot tub, cold, stem treatment. I'm sure he's getting all of those things. And
sure.
he's probably, but I think it's more inspirational than anything, right?
I agree.
Trying to show his team and younger generation that, hey, you don't quit because someone tells you can't do something.
Right.
But if it's something you believe you can go and do, don't be afraid to take the step. And that's what I've got from this whole story is his team, when he goes back to coach next year, he can challenge them in anything he wants and he's going to get a great response because now they've seen their coach actually put his words to work.
Yes.
And it's going to flow better with his football team.
And defy odds to some degree. I mean, it's incredible. What a cool
A lot of people
story.
were waiting to laugh, right? A lot of people were waiting to laugh and probably was going to be bloopers moments and all that, but he's actually gone out there and he's looked very, very well.
I agree.
Like, as a 44-year-old quarterback, he looks better than some of these other younger guys, as far as like knowledge of the game and timing of the ball coming out.
How about that? I think that it maybe made everyone's eyebrow go up a little bit and go, all right, I got to step my game up. I can't rest on my natural speedy ability as a 25-year-old in the league. So really, really cool story and has been fun to watch him play. He got emotional pregame when Laura Rutledge asked him about, because his kids are aware now. They were so young when he was playing, other than, his oldest now who is a mom of her own. So really cool story. Wanted to get your take on it. I think you could still do it, J Cam. If they call, I think you answer. We are going to do our previews and picks for these games in a second episode because we are not going to make an hour and a half long episode. So that is going to do it for this episode on SEC State of Mind presented by FanDuel. Thank you so much for listening and following along. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Leave us a review. You can find us on YouTube if you like video format or anywhere you get your podcast. If you would just like to hear audio, you can subscribe and leave a review or comment on all of those platforms. We so appreciate when you interact with us, and come on back in, I don't even know how many days, but be looking for a second episode because we are going to give you our previews and picks for the second round happening on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So that's going to do it on this episode. Everyone have a very Merry Christmas. For Jason Campbell, I'm Taylor Davis. We'll see you next time.